Everything will be recorded, so be aware of what you say, okay? As I tell everybody, I always have to say, hey, if you don't want to be recorded, this is the advantage we have. You can turn off your camera, you can change your name, and nobody will ever know you were here, okay? The power of Zoom in this virtual world. But I do want to take a little Brady shot picture afterwards. So remind me, okay? We'll turn on our cameras for like 5 seconds, everyone, and take a picture. So welcome to our Agile Austin Leaders Special Interest Group on March 3rd. And we are part of the Agile Austin organization. We are folks focused on all things Agile. We connect, we collaborate, we grow. And we have been here as an organization since 2007. And some people like Ned that I see, and myself. Ned probably even joined prior to me. I joined like 2009. You, Ned, were there before me, right?
I was there pretty much at the beginning, yeah.
Ah, look at that. He's like founding father kind of thing. Like,
and it was hard because I was living in New Zealand then, so it was kind of tough.
That was commitment. That was kind of tough. We've been around for a while. And first, I'd like to introduce myself really quick. I have been facilitating the Leader SIG for 12 years. 12 plus years now, because we started in 2010. And I think it's so exciting that when you've been doing something for 10 years, you see trends. You see trends. And back in 2010, 2011, we were talking about how to train people on Agile, train people on story point estimation, this whole new thing like Scrum and scaling it. Now, fast forward, Agile's been so mainstream that when we're talking about leading transformations, we're talking about a lot of things that we know we have to have in place that we weren't talking about before, like psychological safety, better communication and connection among team members, and on and on. It's just incredible to see like what we discuss now, and who knows what we will be discussing 10 years from now when talking about Agile transformation and mindset, and what else might be out there. I am an IT senior manager at PayPal, and it's been great to facilitate this every month. And I'm also the Agile Austin president presently. So always feel free to join us first Friday of the month, 12 to 1 Austin time, regardless where you are. We are here, okay? Instead of going one at a time, I'm just going to put a bunch of stuff in the chat right now. And this is going to be a lot of links and information, but this is just things that I'll be talking about. If you want to be a member of Agile Austin, discover what are the services you get as a member. If you want to be a sponsor, understand what that's about. We have all this information on our website, agileaustin.org. We really did a lot of cool stuff on our site in the last few years. So you know what? Go check it out. Because prior to that, we still had a site that looked very much 2007 from when we started. So that was huge. Shout out to our sponsors. I mean, it's just great to have them. I put all their information in the chat, so don't want to spend too much time going through them, but very much appreciate our platinum and silver sponsors. And if you know of anybody that might be interested in like highlighting and marketing their products and services through our Agile Austin community and want to be our sponsors, we're always here, please. And for those that might not be aware, I see a lot of similar folks, but as Agile Austin, we have about 5 to 7 meetups every month. Free, is just sharing the knowledge and the love of Agile across the board. But I always tell people the best thing to do is go to our meetup/Agile Austin, meetup.com/Agile Austin, and subscribe. So you get all of the notifications and information of when we're having these sessions. We have a lot of cool stuff. Even next month, we're having one in dedication to Women's History Month. And we're having a panel of women, including Angela, our Chief Product Officer, other team. Like we just bring tech and Agile and women and other stuff into the group, okay? And we have all these different meetup groups that happen every month. Okay, Lean Kanban, Scrum Master, Scaled One, Coaching One, etc. We have some phenomenal board members. including me, Angela, and everyone else that's on there, Scott, Ben, Steve. But I think the main thing is that people have questions, suggestions, feedback. I put it in the chat, send us an email. Okay, it's board@agileaustin.org. We're always happy to get feedback, chat with. It doesn't matter if you're a member or not, just contact us, right? If you're going to talk. And if people want to volunteer, we have tons of opportunities. Just got to go to the site and check it out. Okay. We've got our annual conference that we're going to start to plan for sometime in November of this year. We've got some other opportunities. If people want to volunteer, even just to get some more experience and expertise in Agile, there's a bunch of cool stuff that we're doing. Just go and sign up. Okay. Today, we're going to have Dawn. I'm so excited about Dawn because Dawn doesn't come from our traditional tech, agile, transformational, been in this all the time. And sometimes we need to hear from outside. We need to hear from outside of our bubble, right? Not just our agile consultants or people who've been in tech a long time. So super happy to hear about this and how to put your agile mindset on autopilot. And then just a sneak preview for, why do I have it February 3rd? I'm sorry, that should be April 7th. Typo on the slide. On April 7th, John is joining us, and I like it. We're having a guided discussion. Oh, we're just going to have fun about talking about what not to do when being agile. Okay, and it's just the fact that a lot of us have seen a lot of stuff in the agile world not go exactly maybe in a way that's aligned with the original agile values and everything. Let's talk about it. We're not hating on agile. We're just talking about it. We're being a bit dramatic. We're being a bit interactive. It's totally okay to do. So we're going to have fun doing that. So by me saying thanks for coming out, I am transitioning to Dawn. Thank you for being here. Can we have a round of applause for Dawn, who is going to talk to us about how to put your agile mindset on pilot? Dawn Dawson, thanks for coming out.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to contribute. I'm going to get my screen ready. I have a presentation to share. And let's see. Let me go ahead and start that and get that set up and chat so I can see what we're all saying.
Yeah, you got to take a second to set it up.
Where did you get that picture of Max?
He loaned it to me.
I'm just saying, have a great day, folks. That's all.
He's famous. He's known all over the world.
Just not as wealthy. Minor.
Okay, everybody can hear me well, I hope. Yes. Okay. So again, hello, everybody. My name is Dawn. I'm so excited that you all are here today. I'm working on you all. Did that sound okay? I'm thrilled to hopefully be able to contribute to leading agile transformation with more ease by tapping into the subconscious. That's my specialty. Is anyone going to talk about the elephant in the room? Yes, we are today. Did you know research shows that your subconscious controls 97% of everything you think, say, and do? Your interpretations of your experiences when you're young create your beliefs, your personality, concept of self, which controls your emotions, behaviors, and ultimately your outcomes. I just wanted to share with you that I worked with a group of developers on the fear of change. This is what they had to say. We all were having challenges with our constantly changing sprint goals. It caused much stress and negativity and negatively impacted our productivity at times. We all received the guidance we needed in the group sessions. We were engaged in the exercises that created new supportive meanings and beliefs about change. We noticed that the fear of change was mostly caused by our childhood experiences. In the end, each of us experienced lasting benefits of less stress, around change, and we got to be more productive. Limiting beliefs are to your clients what kryptonite is to Superman. I believe that everyone has much greater potential than their old subconscious programming allows. And I also believe it's never too late to have a happy childhood. I've always been a person that has championed for myself and others to live a happier and more abundant life. I'm also an empath. I can see and feel things that most cannot. Because of this, I feel the emotional struggles of others. It breaks my heart when people are stuck and frustrated. Nothing gives me more joy than seeing people, teams, and organizations become more of who they truly are. And I'm going to give everybody a chance to experience some of the best practices. So that's coming up, okay? Our time together will help you and your team become more efficient and productive in less time and effort. This is working smarter, not harder. By participating during our time together, you'll be able to help your clients better. Today, we'll be exploring how to encourage the subconscious to get on board with these 4 topics: leading agile transformations, agile mindset, how to feel more psychologically safe, and how do we put an agile mindset on autopilot. Just so you know, I have this habit of saying agile, so I'm trying to change that around. So sorry about that.
But we still understand it. We still understand what you're talking about.
I don't know where that came from. So, okay. So an agile mindset is a different way of thinking. The goal is to help improve cultures and values, empowering the mindset for individuals and their interactions, and be innovative, which is really important, right? This is something that we really want to own and enjoy. Agile says, learn to be more comfortable with taking risks, failing, constant feedback, don't judge, don't feel intimidated, don't blame, don't criticize, feel confident, be self-motivated. And this is really, really important to be able to be innovative. Although this is easier said than done sometimes, isn't it? Why? Why is this? The job of the subconscious is to keep us safe. It's tied to fight or flight. Remember, the subconscious controls 97% of everything we think, say, and do.
And if I, oh, sorry, Dawn, but on that last slide, this is very powerful because sometimes I think even flexibility is almost the other side of the coin of adaptability. And in order for people to be able to reach their true potential from an agile mindset way of it, they've got to be very good at adapting to change, because we live in a world that is changing faster than it ever has in our human existence. And sometimes we don't appreciate how much or understand even how challenging it is for people to change and to be flexible and to be adapt. And I have been guilty of being very impatient with a lot of people, because it's like, hold on a second, what do you mean you want to plan this project out for like 2.5 months? Like, we have to start to code something and work on something next week. It's not 1982. Why are you saying this? Like, but I don't understand about what is happening on all the subconsciousness and all the beliefs of the person, that fear of changing. So I just wanted to connect that in the regards of flexibility and adaptability are at the core of so much that I've struggled with, right?
Yes, we all have. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's definitely something that we all have challenges with, because it's really about the subconscious. The subconscious wants to keep you safe. So change is not really something the subconscious is on board with. However, today I'm going to show you some ways that you can be a lot easier and There's a lot more that I have in my tool chest. I'm going to share some things with you. So hopefully you find it very helpful. Again, thanks for sharing. That's very helpful, Max. Psychological safety is being able to feel safe, giving and receiving feedback, raising issues and concerns, disagreeing, asking for clarification, asking difficult questions, asking for help, offering solutions to problems, and admitting errors. Let me all ask you a question. What can all of these behaviors cause a fear of? And if you'd like to share in chat, go right ahead. Think about that though. What is the cause of fear that all of these behaviors could cause in someone? At times, maybe not all the time. Yes, it's the fear of rejection, which means not part of the herd, which means you're not safe. Oop. See if I can get it to, there it goes. Okay, now let's explore what might be the train of thoughts and behaviors that trigger avoidance and that sabotage the agile mindset for your clients. The following thoughts, beliefs, and feelings are valid and they are common. The first one is customer focus. This may trigger thoughts like think out of the box, ask more in-depth user discovery questions. To developers, it might mean more work, getting less done. Developers' ideas may not be validated by users. Next up, Max, change and adaptability, which may trigger trigger thoughts like it's going to take more time and work. All the work I have done is not considered progress. I don't get credit for it, causing the feeling of frustration. Sense of ownership may trigger the fear of being blamed, or that you might be at fault if something goes wrong. Continuous improvement may trigger anxiety, not feeling a sense of completion, which, by the way, is a human need to help feel motivated. Continuous feedback may trigger a fear of retaliation, resentment, feeling bad or wrong about oneself. Instead, they go along with the flow and don't want to rock the boat. This will lower overall success. Delivering working software frequently. Developers may feel a lot of pressure, experience long hours. They may start to deliver low value software just to meet the agile requirements, and they may feel overwhelmed. Self-motivated. How do they stay motivated when all of these stressful thoughts are happening? Adjust behaviors. Coaches and their clients try hard to change behaviors, and all the while, the subconscious is running the show. No matter how hard they try, some things are still out of reach, aren't they? Bottom line, when you have all these subconscious reactions, it's next to impossible to adjust your behaviors. That's why it's important to have gentle ways to update the sabotaging thoughts and beliefs. Let's look at it this way. Limiting beliefs and meanings equal low results and high stress. For example, let's say there's this goal of, I want to have an agile mindset. You may have limiting beliefs that could block the goal, like I'm afraid of change, of being rejected, of failing, of hard conversations. I may not have enough time. I may not be smart enough. I can't do it. I may not be good enough. I have to be perfect. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Zach, a chief communications officer who had tried therapy, coaching, and changing his thoughts before working together. Zach had a lifetime struggle with difficult conversations. We updated the limiting beliefs causing avoidance and angst. They caused the cause dated back to an experience that happened when he was 7 years old. Many times what we're experiencing in adulthood are from experiences when we were little, and then the subconscious takes it in and makes connections that really don't make a lot of sense. However, that's what's running the show most of the time. Zach experienced several shifts during our time together. Now he feels acceptance and comfort during difficult conversations without feeling fearful before, during, or after. Throughout our time together, we were able to update several of the limiting beliefs that were holding Zach back. This had a substantial impact on his work life. Can anybody relate to anything like this? Does this sound familiar? Is this new to anyone? Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, you can use your reactions or comment. That would be great. In a little while, if people want to come to the mic, you'll be invited to do that. Okay, now this is interesting. How do we put the Agile mindset on autopilot? Let's all imagine what might be the beliefs of a person who embraces change. So if you would, I'd really appreciate it if you'd throw one belief that you think that they may have and throw it into chat, share with us. That's going to help everybody. Give you a few moments for that. Now let's imagine what might be the beliefs of a person who avoids change. So go ahead and share in comments if you'd like. So these are probably two different belief systems. Wouldn't you agree? So around change, right? Change is great. I can learn a lot. It's exciting. I can be innovative. I can pivot, it feels good. And then, and they probably had a really good experience with change when they were little. And that's probably why they can do that as an adult over and over again in challenging situations, right? So the person that, in general, the subconscious doesn't really like change. And secondly, certainly if you had some experiences when you were young, and even as adults, can create beliefs that make you avoid change, like it doesn't feel comfortable. So my question is, what do you think causes beliefs? Okay, we were just talking about this. These are experiences that get programmed in the subconscious, and then more beliefs that get programmed and connected. It's like the web, right? It's like the internet, where there's this web of all this information that connects. Well, in the subconscious, many times it's inconsistent and it is contradictory to one another. So that's why you see some people saying one thing and doing another thing. Okay. Any questions so far? Any comment? Okay. So this is really about helping your team update their behaviors that are blocking progress. What we're learning is that it's all about the experiences that cause the beliefs. And once we change this around, which we'll learn how to do that today, it'll support the goal of an agile mindset. Sorry, I did it again. Okay. Hello, Austin Powers. Behind every unwanted reoccurring behavior is at least one limiting belief. This is what makes people feel stuck. What's Austin's limiting belief in this scene? He believes doing the same thing over and over is going to get him unstuck, reach his goal. This is the subconscious, the habit mind. This is not anybody's fault. It's very powerful. It's just how the subconscious works. So I'm going to share with you today, like I said, more ways to get unstuck. Alrighty. So let's create peace of mind for all. Okay. So these are some best practices that are easy to use, and it naturally bypasses the resistance that the minds have. And I say minds because we have many minds, right? We have many brains, really many brains. And so they don't actually work very well together sometimes, and sometimes they do. And this will also help bypass the ego. So in terms of communication and having collaboration and improving that, I use yes and in conversations. Has anybody ever used yes and instead of but, or no but, or yes but? Yeah.
It is very important because people just get stuck on the no, or, well, I'm not really aligned with you. And whatever you say afterwards, it's, yeah.
Exactly. It negates everything that
They-
says before, and then nobody feels validated. You know, they're not heard, not validated. I worked with 2 developers that were really excited about solving a problem. And so they're like, okay, let's talk about it. And they started talking about it. And very quickly, they were like, body language, you know, crossing arms, looking annoyed. And I said, hey, time out. Do you want to try something to see if it helps with your communication? They said, sure. And I said, use yes and instead of but. And they said, all right, we'll try it. And very quickly, it was like magic. It was amazing. They opened up, they heard each other, they were able to solve the problem much quicker, and they learned a lot from each other. And so if you're not using it, go ahead and try and let me know how that goes. The next thing is, oh, did I put that down? Yes, we did. Okay. So yeah, where are we? Collaboration. Okay. Anonymous. Anonymous is amazing. And the reason why it's so amazing is I don't care how confident somebody is, there's still this feeling of rejection or failing in front of the peers or managers or whomever. So anonymous feedback, voting, and collaboration is really, really important. And if you're not using it or using it a little bit, I would really encourage it more. This is really going to open up communication. It's going to move the whole project along quicker. It's going to help people feel more included without having to worry about being rejected or some kind of retaliation because somebody doesn't agree, or some kind of resentment, things like that. So it avoids a lot of that. Again, this is a really easy way to bypass some human behaviors that just are what they are. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Dawn,
yes.
I just wanted to say real quick, like, what is really awesome of a lot of our process frameworks in Agile per se, they include a lot of, I mean, like a retrospective approach. We actually have something called retrospective meeting that we have. What we're not always very good at is making the feedback anonymous, or even to make it so that it's not just the loudest people that contribute to it. So have some way that people can write feedback ahead of time or whatever, but you're actually saying anonymous feedback, that, you know, when we do things, just do things so that the feedback is anonymous, and work with the anonymous feedback. Because we always have this tendency to say, well, what did this person really mean? Who did this? Who said this? And then all of a sudden, that is not anonymous anymore, right? Like, can you explain this a little bit better? So I think it's somewhere where we should push ourselves a bit more to just truly make it anonymous, right?
Yeah, and
If you're
see how
getting
that
feedback from
works.
customers, end
Yes.
users, or even from teammates, anonymous.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely. And to add to that, we have the idea of working together alone. And this is something that is in the book Design Sprint by Jake Knapp, if you're familiar with the book. And he worked at Google and I believe Microsoft, running sprints for years. And he found this, the collaboration and working together on sprints was wonderful. And at the same time, there was a lot of drama and things that we were talking about where, you know, discussions would happen and then people would maybe, you know, really start defending themselves and really want their idea, or the people that weren't, you know, that were more shy weren't really getting their ideas out. So this is like, for instance, working together alone is that everybody starts to work on their own idea alone. and they're developing it, right? And then they get an opportunity to share it anonymously with everyone. And then that helps everybody see everybody's different ideas. And that opens up the power of the brain to actually come together and start figuring out things. Now, part of this system is to also be able to elaborate more on what you were trying to say, but that can be done anonymously. It doesn't have to identify the person. So there's a system in place to be able to do that. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check that out or ask me about it at another time, or that would be great. Okay, now we're moving on to, it's okay, where are we? Okay, languages of the subconscious. They are images and emotions. That's what the subconscious understands. For instance, has anybody heard of the game called Celebrate Failure? So what this looks like is that you have people in a circle playing a fun game. They have some rules. And the idea is that, you know, usually everybody makes a mistake. So the person who makes the mistake jumps into the middle of the circle, puts their hands up, starts dancing around and saying, yay. And the people on the outside of the circle will start celebrating and clapping and, you know, celebrating the mistake or failure. Why this is important and why this game is so effective is because, one, we're seeing the images of our peers celebrating, happy faces, dancing around, movement that's very positive around this failure, so to speak. And then the emotions that the person who failed, you know, they take a bow, they're smiling. So what it's doing is it's sending a direct message to the subconscious very quickly that, hey, maybe this failure thing is not so bad. Okay, it's not encouraging failure. I mean, failure is failure, it's just part of life. And very quickly, when you try this a few times, you're going to notice that your trigger around failure will reduce. This is very powerful and it's very simple. So the next thing is, let's see, what do we got here? All right. Change your emotional state quickly using your VR suit. So the VR suit for me is my body. It's my senses. Okay. And so let's all do this. Go ahead and look down. Put a frown on your face. Think of some negative thoughts. I know it's going to be hard, but okay. Now go ahead and just notice how you're feeling at that point. Now I'm going to ask you to look up to the sky, put a smile on your face, put your hands up, wave them around, laugh a little bit. Laughter is super powerful in changing your beliefs. There you go. Thanks, Max. And notice how you're feeling with the second way of doing it, you know, looking up. So my question will be, which one felt better, looking down or looking up?
Up.
Looking up, right? Looking
waving
up,
your hands.
Waving your hands. So, you know, if you're not feeling good about something, when you start to use your VR suit and move it in a way that makes you feel better, again, this is so simple and super effective quickly. So I hope you try it and certainly let me know how that goes for you. If you have any questions, certainly let me know. Okay, so I have this, this is great. This is so much fun. My clients love this. So this is leading instead of limiting. So a lot of us have limiting questions and limiting statements when we talk to ourselves. So I'm saying use the approach of leading questions and leading statements. What I have here is, what if I provided more value in less quantity? What are all the ways I would feel good about that? What are all the benefits of failing? What might I find ways, or how might I find ways to embrace failure? What are all the ways I feel good about change? Leading statements. I'm open to feeling excited about change, feeling good about failing, feeling good enough. And when you ask questions like this, or these types of leading statements, like I'm open to, the subconscious doesn't like to be told what to do. So sometimes people use affirmations, which is great. I think affirmations are amazing. However, if the affirmation doesn't feel good, it's because the subconscious has a limiting belief that is not supporting it. So the way around that is using leading questions and statements to encourage the subconscious to open up and find answers to these questions, which bypass the limiting belief that normally would hold you back. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, good.
And I think, sorry, Don, real quick. And I
Yeah.
think the ones, especially on failing, I can just remember so many times where even if you tell people, hey, it's okay to fail as long as you learn from it. It's okay to fail. There's still a mental block with failure. There's something that happens that when people think of failing, when people are associated with failure, they just can't even progress to what did we learn from this failure? It's just a mental block. And it just, as hard as it is, we've just got to be aware of that, hit the pause button sometimes and say, how can we make people really okay with failure? How can it just starts with the feeling, the emotions with failure before you can even get to a spot of learning from the failure? Because it's like they will skew reports and data to show that the failure was not as bad. Oh, we did deliver this. Yes, you delivered something, but it doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't work. Like the customer will go on the site and click on something and it takes a minute and a half to load. People don't wait 3 seconds nowadays for something to load.
I know.
So it's just like, but to admit failure is just so hard and a taboo that, and of course, that's just me speaking. I don't know if anybody out there might have an experience with a mental block. Like
absolutely.
failure.
We all do. I do too. It's just, absolutely, we got the ego at play too, right?
Oh, so much at play.
Yeah. So, and then, the different minds, if you, in, a dinosaur age or caveman age, if you met failure, it could mean death, right? That's not the case anymore. However, the subconscious or reptile brain doesn't really get that.
In some professions, it could mean, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking technology, building software products and services, not healthcare hospital scenarios.
Good point. Very good point. Thank you, Max. You're always a joy. Thank you. I hope people are getting something out of this. I hope it's helpful for you. I always like to contribute. Okay, now let's see. Now I'd like to give you all a little taste of what it's like to be in a group session, or even a tinier taste of what it's like to be in a one-on-one session. This is a very small part of what I do in these group and private sessions. So what I'm going to ask you to do to start out with, and this is for yourself, this is a private thing. You're not sharing with anybody else. It certainly is not going to go on chat and or on comments. So go ahead and find a piece of paper or type on your computer, laptop, phone, whatever you'd like to do. The first question is, when you're ready, write down a behavior you haven't been able to change. Now I'm going to ask you to write down any thoughts you have that might be blocking you from changing the behavior. Now I'm going to have you write down the limiting beliefs that are, or I'm sorry, I do right. Okay. Did I miss something? Write down limiting cue, changing behavior. Write down how these limiting beliefs are affecting your work life. Sorry for that confusion. write down how these limiting beliefs that you just came up with, so maybe just one of the beliefs, are affecting your work life around changing this behavior. Okay. All right. So limiting beliefs may be a fear of change or failure. I'm lazy, or I'm stupid. I'm not perfect. I have to be perfect. Rejection. Those are some examples of thoughts around that you have that create limiting beliefs. So what I'm going to have you do now is I'm going to have you plug in the limiting belief that you chose into this question. What does X mean? What does change mean? What does failure mean? What does feedback mean? And go ahead and answer that question, please. Next, I'm going to have you define X, which is defining change or stupid or, whatever it is for you. It could be anything that I haven't even mentioned. Just go ahead and define the limiting belief. Next, what is the difference between X and not X? So what that means is, what's the difference between failure and not failure? What's the difference between change and not change? What's the difference between stupid and not stupid? So go ahead and answer that question. I know I didn't put an exclamation point on that. Okay, great. Now, if you need to, take some deep breaths. Sometimes this can trigger some emotions. So this will help your subconscious zero in on the causes of your limiting beliefs, and it will start to release your blocks. I go into much more depth, obviously, in a group session and private session even more. Okay, does anybody want to come to the mic and share their experience with this, or sharing comments, like what they noticed, not the details of their answers, but did they notice anything from doing this exercise?
Someone else besides me. Do we have to call on someone?
Well, only if they're comfortable. I totally get it. I
Well, I
totally
feel
get it.
comfortable with calling on Ned. I've known Ned for like 15 years. Maybe. So,
Oh, okay.
or like Angela or anybody there wants to
Okay, well,
share
I'm
something.
definitely not going to share the details of my deepest, darkest fears with you all. But I will say, going through this exercise, I found just the clarity and specifics to be very helpful in helping me try to address what I need to do to overcome. Right. So I think without this, it's like the emotions kind of take over. And just become so loud that you don't know what to do. And that's the part of the getting stuck, right? But just defining exactly, and especially the last bit about the difference of like, what is failure and what is not failure, outlining that to help me going forward in a real life situation that's coming up soon, Don, was really helpful. So thank you.
Good to hear, Angela. Thank you so much. Yay. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it so much. And I'm glad it was helpful.
And Ned just turned on his camera. I don't know if it was because he wanted to say something.
I'm just making myself available. I mean, the one that I have problems with is letting the silence sit there. I have to fill the space. And I'm one of those people Max referred to that's always the first one to speak and the loudest one to speak. So this is hurting me and my teams.
Well, that's honesty for you. Thank you, Ned. Yeah, silence is a big thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Some people are really uncomfortable with it. Most people, actually, a lot of people are. So thanks for sharing. Anyone else? All right, so next is going to be, oops, got to get back over here. There we go. Okay, role playing. Oh my God, role playing. Who uses role playing? Anybody using that? This tool is
It's
amazing.
powerful. I don't
Ah,
use it enough.
exactly. It gives you the opportunity to experience someone else's perspective. This increases emotional intelligence and empathy. This will increase communication, relationships, and collaboration. And it can be fun. So what we're going to do, and Max volunteered and prior. So what we're going to do is, yay, this is on a chat bot, right? So we probably all use those. Max is going to pretend that he was is the developer that's going to be the user in this role play. So I, as the developer pretending, will be asking some questions to Max. And the whole idea is to encourage developers to start to understand the user's experience from their point of view. Okay. So when you're ready, Max, I'm just going to have you, say it out loud so everybody can hear, and just keep the answers on the short side. It's just an experiment. No, that's for anybody, not just just so we can move through.
Hint, hint, Max. Yeah.
The first question is, have you used a chatbot?
Oh, yes, I have.
What do you like about it?
It was very quick for me to say, oh yeah, look, I want to find out a particular question of my AT&T plan, and I can just ask a really quick question here instead of calling someone. That's what I thought.
Okay. Next question. What did you dislike about using the chatbot?
So what I dislike is I didn't get an answer to what I needed. The outcome I was trying to get to, I did not. And I got a lot of other information. It was complicated, and I had to call in to customer service anyway.
Right, exactly, right? So this is what happens, you have to go to customer service to get it resolved. So well, we kind of answered that. Okay, so the last question is what would have to change for you to want to consistently use a chat bot in the future? What would be different about the chat bot?
My experience would have to be different. Just like, our experiences from childhood impact our subconscious and all that. Like, my experience with a chatbot would have to be better, not just once, but twice and
Yeah.
3 times and everything. We live in a world where 2 clicks on my Amazon app and a package is outside my door. That's my expectation. I can't be typing,
yeah.
typing, and I don't get the answer I need.
Exactly. Exactly.
My
Okay.
experience.
Yeah, I can relate to all this. Probably most people can. What I'm going to ask now, so we're in the role play and Max pretending to be a developer that's being a user in this role play. What would you say the developer's experience, and what did that developer learn from pretending to be the user?
Ooh. The developer would start to understand, to see if they're not already, to really see something from a customer-centric approach, which should always be the case, right? Because the reason we develop these products and services is for somebody to get value from it. So starting from that point, the developer might say, let me start from the customer experience instead of my architecture, like my various dependency conversations with other applications and all the cool technologies I could use. Let me start from there and work my way back in what should be the outcome.
Excellent. So and this idea is to really encourage, to have people, whether it's a chat bot or just role playing each other's the other person's position and how they feel about something, like pretending to be the other person, or if it's between departments, let's say you're a developer and let's pretend you're in marketing, how would you feel? What thoughts would come up? Things like that can really help. So thanks
Yeah,
for sharing and thanks for playing.
And sorry, Don, I was going to say very quickly, I saw a hand go up very quickly, but I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
if someone still had something to say.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the benefit also is to understand that there is a different point of view. By putting yourself in a different person's role, you suddenly realize in actual fact, my understanding of the thing might not actually be the right understanding. So being able to actually say there's different views of this.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for sharing. That's a good
Very,
point.
very powerful. And that is something that sometimes, especially me, that I've worked for always large corporations with IT departments that are thousands and thousands of people. Sometimes we don't even spend the time to understand who our customer is, like what our customer experience is and everything. We just get like all these stories in a backlog in our Jira tool, and we just go at it. And we don't even take time to role play and understand, as also Michael said, a different viewpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. You know what I just realized? I wasn't scrolling the chat. So I'm like, oh, no, nobody's commenting. But there's a lot of comments. So I'm sorry. And thank you for commenting. And I will save all this and certainly look at this later. So,
Yeah.
my
I mean,
bad.
I've seen
I
no
missed it.
questions. I'm kind of scanning it too. I've not seen any
Oh, thank you.
specific questions. So I think everything is connecting with folks. It's nothing.
Okay.
It's doing it that is tough, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really doing it. Oh, and we do have another hand up. If you can take another
Oh, yeah,
question.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anaga?
Yes, thank you. And great presentation and great topic. I really love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question / comment about celebrating failure.
Yes.
And many times when I hear that, I feel that the context of this concept is lost, because when we are saying celebration, we are talking about rewarding it.
Yeah.
When it is rewarded and when it can be really dangerous, those aspects are not talked about. And I come to this as a mountaineer, and celebrating failure in mountaineering can be like you won't come back from mountains.
Good point. Oh, my goodness.
Might be at the bottom of the crevasse for, there won't be any life, but your body will be there for rest.
Oh, good
Context.
point. Context. Yeah.
Context. Yeah.
So in software area, where I see that, the way I see that playing is in the planning stage or in the testing stage, when you are not sure which way you want to go, and you want to test with small examples to find out which way you want to go. And that's when you can celebrate failure, that, hey, we were not sure about this direction. And we are glad that we tested this and it didn't work, so that we didn't spend all the time developing or going that route and make it a failure that is not recoverable.
Yes. Yes. Very important. And I'm glad you brought that up. There's quite a few, quite a bit of information on the internet about this. And, you know, this certainly is something, it's context, and also making sure that it's not overly celebrated. It's just about feeling a little differently about failure. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you so much.
Yeah. An experimentation.
Right. So, and another thing is, I have seen a lot of people take it in a very different context, celebrating failure. And when we are rewarding something, people run to be rewarded. And then it becomes a competition and validation of failure rather than success.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's another thing that is coming up for me. And I think I mean, all the failures of companies, whether it's blockbuster or whatever, I mean, they were not in any shape to celebrate their failures. So that needs to be put in context.
Context.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the takeaway for me is when there is a failure, you need time to recover. That's where the trauma happens, when we fail so badly that it becomes harder to recover. And then that's a whole different route of recovering from failure than celebrating.
Yes. All good points. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
So not beating yourself up is better approach than blanket statement celebrating failure, I think.
Yes.
It needs to be put in context and work with someone who understands differences and know how to rescue you, because coming from mountaineering background, rescue is whole different than mountain climbing. And that's a whole different training and techniques and all of that. So differentiating those things, I feel, is important.
Very important. And Jeff said something like near misses. Yeah, it's, you know, there's different ways to frame it, and the wording that you use can make a big difference. I'm gonna thank you for sharing. And Max?
Yeah, and I was just thinking, we have Michael that has a question also.
Yes. Yeah.
But just in case that we go over here before people drop off, which some people have dropped already, I would like to ask for as many people as possible to turn on their cameras so that I can take a screenshot of Zoom, which we'll post on the meetup. So I see Michael turning on, John, Teresa, Mary, Morgan, everybody. There you go. Okay, folks. Keep on turning on. Keep on turning on. All right. Okay, so, and we're gonna do this. So wave or smile or act as if you're having a good time. Okay, so we're gonna take this in 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. And you were saying somebody has a question?
Michael
Yes.
had a question. Yeah, let's make this the
This
last question.
My question will be really quick. Just tying all of this back to psychological safety, and talking about you know, giving that room for innovation and failing. In my experience, at least, I realized that a lot of companies would talk about that, on how they yes, fail fast and fail forward. But then when that happens, actually for most of the time, you don't even have the opportunity to happen, because a lot of work that you're doing is keeping the lights on, or we have this stakeholder to satisfy, and there's these deadlines that we need to meet, and that causes a whole bunch of issues and scope creeps and things like that, and then ending up missing those deadlines. So how would you say, and this is an initiative that I'm taking on in the organization that I work for, Epsilon, to get management and leadership to create that room, and not just say, hey, we're all about this, and then you join the company and you have developers doing all these things or trying to, but then the opportunity is not there, and which creates that, you know, that space where now they don't feel safe to innovate, because they're gonna be, you know, written up, or they feel like their jobs are going to be on the line or something like that.
Yes, good question. And this comes up quite a bit, you know, depending on the departments and, you know, upper management and things like that. My approach can work for anybody around their behaviors and how they think. So upper management has a certain way of doing things, and they're having a hard time changing, right? And so it's affecting and it's causing, you know, these bad feelings and people feeling afraid and so on and so forth. So what I would say is, you know, I would do a group session with upper management. I would do one-on-ones with upper management, which will change their behavior, because I will find the cause of what's causing the behavior. And then that will be updated. And it's really, again, stories or experiences. And what I do is I create a new story with the people I'm working with. And I do it in a very fun, interactive way. And when that happens, because you're using your body, you're using your mind, you're using emotions, and then you're merging it all together, which is, I think, on this screen. And when you do that, it creates this new story that the old story is vanishing. And when that happens, it doesn't have the power it did. So anyway, to get back to what Michael is saying, when the beliefs and the behaviors and thoughts are updated in a way that supports what the goal is and what your goal is that you'd like to see happen, you're going to see a change in upper management behavior, which will trickle down and help the teams feel much safer and better.
And Dawn, if I may just chime in real quick to this point, Michael, something that I've seen that was extremely powerful that I experienced is the next best thing to you experiencing something is you seeing someone experiencing it. So what I saw done once was a leader say, we are encouraging you to do this. And by the way, team XYZ, they did this. And I would like them to talk about it and how it felt. So if they find a team that they encourage to fail fast and learn, and that team can speak to it, then all of a sudden, other people are hearing the experiences that that team had. And then they can start to think, okay, if that team can do it, then I can do it too. But they have to have examples, experiences to share, because to your point, Michael, people can show up and just talk. But then if the first experience that a team has is not aligned with what was being said, not only they're going to hesitate to do that same thing, they're going to hesitate to do anything that is out of the ordinary norm, right? So I hope that connects, right? Like
Yes,
sharing
it does.
experiences.
Thank you.
That helps a lot. That's a great. Anyone
And there's
else?
Michael, maybe we'll take a last comment from him in the interest of time.
Yeah, the reason that fail fast and success was an issue was in the old days when failure was a problem, we used to hide failure.
Yes.
And hiding failure is the most dangerous thing you could do. That's when you fall off a mountain, because people don't tell you about the fact that your ropes went a bit loose. So that's the reason the concept to fail fast and learn and be success on failure was because of, if failure is seen as a bad thing, then people won't report it. People will hide failure, and that will be critical for your company.
Bingo. Yes.
Yeah.
That mindset shift.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
So Dawn, if you want to wrap it up.
Wrapping it up. Can you still see
Yeah.
my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I was just going through some things. I talked about, I have a 3-step process that works really well. And the last one is a step. So first, defining questions, meanings, so on and so forth, how it relates, things like that. Second step, let's take a look at what caused these limiting beliefs and change the experiences. So now you have the happy childhood, right? So if you had bad childhood, I've actually worked with lots of people that had not a good childhood, and now they feel like they did have a good childhood. So it's powerful. And then the third one is subconscious GPS. So this is really about giving directions to your subconscious on what we decided that you want to have go forward as far as supportive beliefs in your subconscious. And this is going to drive you where you want to go. And it really works. And so, of course, this other one is look out goals, here I come, it's you again. And so this is, some ways that you can contact me. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to help or answer your questions. And these are some things I can do to help. So I have wrapped up.
Woo! And we're going to be posting the recording of this Zoom on our YouTube channel, Agile Austin YouTube channel. And I will put the link to the YouTube recording on the meetup page so that everybody can look at this again. And if they have to go to some part of information, there's a reference there. Dawn, as we conclude, thank you for coming out and sharing this approach. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Right.
You're welcome. And thank you for all being here. Really appreciate all your comments. Max, would you be able to copy
Oh,
those
save the
comments?
comments?
Save it,
Yes.
I'm trying to, and it's not working here.
No, well, they're gonna be part of the recording. As Zoom records, it saves all the comments. I can send that to you.
Okay,
No
thanks.
problem.
Okay,
Okay,
lots of
folks,
love to everybody.
happy Friday. Stay agile, folks. Stay agile.
Thank you.
Till
Take
next
care.
time. Bye.